Ukraine's allies already taking strong action to counter the Russian moves into eastern Ukraine. We just heard from UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson. He kicked off debate in Westminster about sanctions against Russia. Abby Kuga-Dawson is with us in our London bureau. She was listening in as we were live. Tell us more about what Boris Johnson has just this morning announced. Abby.
Heather, Boris Johnson started off by condemning Putin's actions, saying the Russian president is constructing a pretext for a wider military invasion, and he named names in these sanctions when it comes to targets outlined in that package.
The UK is sanctioning the following 5 Russian banks: Rossiya, IS Bank, General Bank, Promzyaz Bank, and the Black Sea Bank. And we are sanctioning 3 very high net worth individuals: Gennady Timchenko, Boris Rottenberg, and Igor Rottenberg. Any assets they hold in the UK will be frozen. The individuals concerned will be banned from travelling here.
5 Russian banks, 3 wealthy individuals. Johnson also saying this is just the first batch of what he expects that he will be launching, that what London is prepared to do. He fully expects Putin to continue along this path of aggression, and the Prime Minister promising there will be further sanctions if the situation escalates even further, Heather.
Now, the European Union is also meeting on sanctions. We could hear something out of Paris there later today. And we're seeing a potentially very significant economic response from Germany this morning as well. Let's take us through some of those European developments, Abby.
Yeah, plenty happening this hour, Heather. Just a short while ago, the German chancellor pulling the plug on Nord Stream 2. That pipeline was ready to go, and it just needed some certification from Germany. But Chancellor Olaf Scholz now saying he's halted that certification process given what's unfolded in Ukraine. He says the situation has now fundamentally changed. With regard to the European response, the collective response, the presidents of the EU Council and the EU Commission have released a joint statement saying they plan to target Russian banks, similar to what we heard from Boris Johnson earlier, that finance the military and other operations in the Donbass. They also say they'll go after those who were linked to Putin's decision to recognize the 2 breakaway regions in Ukraine. And we have to remember these plans must be agreed upon by all 27 EU members. That includes Hungary, whose leader Viktor Orban has a very close relationship with Putin. And as you said, the foreign ministers of the EU will meet in Paris later today. So we'll keep an eye on that to see what's coming out of that gathering, Heather.
Sounds good, Abby. Thank you. I'll be back to you for more developments. Abby Kuga-Dawson is in our London bureau watching the European response. And there we have a live look at Kyiv this morning. A couple of things breaking literally as Abby was reporting, getting word from U.S. diplomats in Ukraine. According to them, these are media reports from U.S. officials that there are now uniformed Russian troops in the Donbass region now. That's that area to the east, which has seen ongoing conflict for years. And of course, where those 2 breakaway areas, Donetsk, Luhansk, are located. From the U.S., uniformed Russian troops in Donbass now. Caught up in the middle of what is happening are, of course, the people of Ukraine, their government as well. We've heard comments from President Zelensky just a few moments ago, but the government has been continuing to pursue any and all diplomatic options. Margaret Evans is part of our CBC News team now on the ground in Kyiv.
Well, as you can imagine, Heather, there's an awful lot of frenetic diplomatic activity going on. The Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky has been meeting this morning with his Estonian counterpart, saying he is considering a request from his own foreign ministry to sever diplomatic ties with Russia. Of course, that wouldn't be a big step, given that Ukraine is accusing Russia of disrespecting and infringing upon its sovereignty. He's also delivering some hard messages to Western allies like Canada, the United States, Britain, saying now is the time to act. Now is the time to introduce not just minimal sanctions, but the full range of sanctions against Vladimir Putin to show that they mean business. He says we need an ambulance in this. And I think he's walking a very difficult tightrope right now. He's trying to keep this country calm. The imminent warnings we've seen, particularly from the United States, about an invasion going to happen, maybe even Kyiv being targeted. and trying to make sure that that doesn't happen and not allow it to become a narrative that becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, if you like. So that's the kind of message we're getting out of here. I should also mention that the foreign minister, the Ukrainian foreign minister, will be traveling to Washington today to meet with the U.S. Secretary of State.
So, Margaret, even as you follow the government's moves and utterances, you've also been speaking, I know, with people there. As they hear more and more about what may be coming, what are they telling you?
Well, I mean, as you can see, I'm standing on a street in central Kyiv, and it is very much life as normal. Maybe not quite as much traffic and people in town. Some people have been worried enough to send family and children further west, but mostly people are saying that we're used to this, that this war that seems so new to Western countries has actually been going on here, mainly in the east of the country, of course, since 2014. Here's what one woman said to our crew this morning when asked just how she's feeling about the situation.
It's very bad, but how you can see, we all think all be good in our country, and that's all.
I spoke to another lady who was 60 years old, and I asked her what she thought of this extraordinary speech from Vladimir Putin last night, wherein he described Ukraine as the creation of Russia. She said before she heard that speech, she didn't think there would be a war. She said now she does. She's convinced that there will be one, but she also said she's not worried. Again, this message that they're used to dealing with the neighbor next door. She grew up in the Soviet Union, the former Soviet Union. I do think that there's a bit of a difference between the older generation and the younger. We spoke with some people in Kharkiv yesterday and the day before, a city very close to the Russian border, where people were quite distressed and struggling with anxiety. If you ask them specific questions about what about NATO membership, they don't want to talk about it. And I think that that's something that you're seeing a lot here as well. The warnings have been so constant for weeks now that people are tired of it. It's a psychological battle, and they're choosing to try to keep it at bay and not think about it. Whether that's a wise strategy or not, I guess we'll wait and see.
That is Margaret Evans reporting there from Kyiv for us as part of our CBC News team covering this crisis. Now